Hi, I'm Alan. This is a video. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another discussion video. Today, I want to bring up the topic of, was Geometry Dash better in 1.9, or is it better nowadays? A lot of people bring up the fact that, oh, Geometry Dash was better in 1.9, or Geometry Dash was better before, or the Geometry Dash community used to be so much better. And I want to discuss this from try at least to discuss it from a very neutral standpoint. I'm going to bring up cons and pros for both sides of the argument, and I want to hear what you guys think. I feel like I have a very neutral stance on 1.9 in general. I've been known to not be a very avid 1.9 stan, as 1.9 was not necessarily a time where I did take a break, but not necessarily a time I didn't play the game, but a time where I didn't feel a strong connection towards the game, as I used to play 1.4 up until 1.9 very frequently, and then I took a little bit of a break, and then I didn't play at all in 2.0, but I did reside within the community. I did pay attention to the community and what happened, so I feel like I have a little bit of a say in what took place and all of that stuff. So we're going to be discussing a few things, and I want to see if you guys have some thoughts and opinions on why it's better now or why it's worse now, especially considering the resurgence of 1.9 GDPS levels, such as the recently revealed and I think released Freedom 19, and then we have other levels such as Impasse, which is also a recently released 1.9 level, and then we have stuff like Project Reunion and so on and so forth, levels that have gained a lot of traction in the community for being good 1.9 levels, and I want to discuss, was it actually better? That's what we're trying to find out today. Anyway, let's just hop in, discuss some stuff, let's get going. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the support. Anyway, let's get into it. Alright, to begin with, I want to discuss levels real fast. Obviously, naturally, I feel like this is what you prefer kind of thing, but if you talk about designs specifically to begin with, naturally 1.9 we had a lot less options and possibilities for designs because less objects to choose from, naturally, and one of my personal favorite ways to create effects. As for level design, naturally I have a lot of really good banger levels. System Split's personal favorite of mine for 1.9 is a very good level. But if you compare designs from the two, I feel like unless you did specifically play 1.9, do not see how someone can justify the fact that 1.9 designs are much better than 2.1 design. I see this brought up a lot. People are like, oh, designs were so much better in 1.9, and then go on to have beaten two 1.9 levels. And it just never made sense to me personally, because you have so much more options now than before. And with effects especially, you had 4 color channels. You only had 4 color channels and player colors. That's all you had to work with for designs or effects back in the day. Never made sense to me why people were 1.9 levels are so much better. I can understand it from a nostalgic standpoint, those levels were really good. I have a very hard soft spot for 1.6 and 1.7 levels, because that's when I was at my peak in that sense. That's when I truly grew attached to the game. So I can see it from a nostalgic standpoint. But in that regard, I feel like people have to be able to differentiate between it's just better or it's just I prefer this because that is what I grew up with, in a sense. Because I'm guessing that a lot of people did have a grow up phase with this game. A lot of people played this as a young child. Remember, 1.9 came out in 2014 and it lasted up until August of 2015, I believe. A lot of people who played 1.9, who are 18, 19 now, were very young in 1.9. Therefore, nostalgia kicks in even harder. It's kind of like me saying that Generation 4 of Pokemon is the greatest generation of Pokemon, even though realistically speaking, it's the slowest games of them all. They're very much a drag to play, and there's a reason why I don't replay them very often. It's because I don't want to break that nostalgia feeling, you know? But then we also get into level frequency. I feel like this is an important one to talk about. How frequently do we get new good levels compared to back in the day? If you go back and look at every rated 1.9 level, I feel like there are very few levels that you look at, you recognize the name, and you're like, that's a banger level. Very few of them. Nowadays, I feel like there are very many good rated levels that come out. Like there's a high frequency of very good levels. Naturally, that's because the community is bigger, there's a lot more creators who actively create levels. I do feel like with the amount of people who did create back in 1.9 and the amount of levels that were released in 1.9, there should be more good levels. I'm not saying there are only bad levels, there's a ton of good 1.9 levels, but I do want to preface that I think the frequency of good levels has drastically increased. Yes, you can argue that gameplay is worse now. I will probably agree with that because I'm not a huge fan of flow gameplay and sync gameplay in particular, which is a very, very common trend these days. But you cannot deny the fact that we get a lot of very solid levels as of late. Like, as a YouTuber who actively looks around for new levels to come out so that I can make videos on them, there doesn't ever feel like there's like a slump period of more than like a few days between each level that is actually reasonably good for that I can upload. And that is impressive because back in 1.9, even replay channels didn't actually upload levels almost every single day because there wasn't anything to upload almost every single day. But now you have people like Nexus and other replay channels like Viprin who basically have levels for every single day of the week to upload. Yes, Nexus has been in a little period now where he's been beating a lot of old levels, specifically 9 Circles levels, which by the way, 9 Circles levels kind of blew. This is a complete tangent, a complete rant, but 1.9 levels were not good. And I will stand by that. I do not like them, and I hate the fact that they are such an integral part of 1.9. Anyway, I think the current frequency of levels is just very, very great. And because of the mod system that we have now, because in 1.9, there was like an ish mod system. It was like a website, and the like 7 mods there were at the time, we would just send an ID in the website, write our password in, send it to RobTop, and he would probably rate it. So the amount of unknown creators who got rates relative to popular creators who were literally only the people who were talking to him through Touch Arcade, abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. These days, I can go on the feature tab and I will see creator after creator after creator I have never heard about. I'm pretty sure in every single YouTube video that I've made on Easy Demons for like the past like 10 times I've done it, I mentioned at least once, I do not know who this creator is, but I'm excited to play the level. Back in 1.9, you would find there were like 20 creators who ran the game. You had people like Viprin, Mindsap, Glitter Shroom, Jzor, Centhic Alpha, Dawn, people like that who just uploaded very frequent levels, who kind of like ran the game. So back then, I would argue it was much more difficult for unknown creators to become known, even though the quantity of creators was way lower. There were way less creators, yet it was still more difficult to become known, simply because there was no, like, way to actually show RobTop what you were doing. I think that is one of the bigger misconceptions, like, with 1.9 is that, oh, it was so easy to become a good, famous creator back then. It really wasn't. Most of the big 1.9 creators were already established creators or friends with already established creators who just like told RobTop, hey, check out my friend's level, and then RobTop checked it out, played it for like 24 seconds, and then rated the level. That's pretty much how it went. That's how Mindsap became known, for instance. With the current mod system, which I think is a good system, by the way, I like the way that they run things. I think it's good, but that's a topic for another day. I feel like it's hard to justify how frequent levels came out and how many popular creators just like had a monopoly more or less on the creating scene. Like, obviously you have people who have like insane frequency these days as well, such as Almighty Wave. Almighty Wave uploads levels a lot. Same with Lunaire, people like that who have a lot of rated levels. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think the higher frequency of levels now is good, or do you guys want there to be less levels? I don't see a reason why there should be less levels. I genuinely do not understand that at all. And how do you guys feel about the popular versus unknown split with rated levels? Next up is drama. I want to discuss drama because drama, as sad as it is to say, drama is a very integral part of the Geometry Dash community. I want to talk about drama frequency and scale specifically. First of all, drama frequency. I feel like the early days of 2.0, up until 2021, I would say that there was a lot of drama within GD. But as of 2021, I feel like there hasn't been a lot of drama, and the few dramas there have been haven't been like large scale. And what I mean by that is that the most active parts of the community will catch wind of these dramas, such as myself, who is very, very up to date with a lot of things that happens in this community. I'm not going to name specifics in case some of you guys haven't heard of them, just because I do not want to reinvigorate the discussion, because I don't feel like that's necessary. But these dramas very rarely actually go past the idea of the core community, especially on Twitter, know about it. That is like where it stops. There's no like large-scale dramas anymore, such as there was in 1.9. I'm gonna grab in early 2.0 here, because this happened like very soon after Bloodbath. Cyclic. The Cyclic hacking scandal was arguably, I would say, the biggest drama we've had in the GD community ever. The two leading players at the time, Riot Cyclic, who had been head-to-head for pretty much a year at that point. Cyclic admitted to hacking, as well as hacking all of his major achievements, as well as hacking Sonic Wave. Every single person knew about it. There was not a single person who played Geometry Dash and was somewhat involved with the community who did not know about the fact that this happened whatsoever. I think that goes to show how huge it was. People always go back and say like, oh, there wasn't a lot of drama back in 1.9. There was a lot of drama, I feel like, relative to the scale of the community. I feel like why people miss the fact that there is a lot of drama nowadays relative to before was the fact that the community was much smaller, therefore not a lot of drama could happen. But I feel like a lot of the big scale dramas that have happened in GD, like the biggest dramas ever to touch Geometry Dash, happened early. Hackers as well. On the topic of hackers, because I mentioned that Cyclic did confess to hacking, a lot of people were outed as hackers, especially a lot of old Korean players who had been very respected for a very, very long time, such as Sari, Cyclic, for instance, were outed as hackers. And then we had other players, such as Auroras, who was outed as a hacker, and many, many others who were just previously respected players. Nubis was outed as a hacker as well, and many people just hacked because it was easy. People just speed hacked. They just cheat engined it, right? Nowadays, it might be because there might be a lot more hackers now, like relative to what we think, but none of the like big scale players actually hack. Sure, some smaller time players hack. There's been a couple hack scandals recently, but they're not big players to the point where it would rustle the entire community. It does not hit the entire community. It hits their near circle of communication. That's pretty much it. If it came out that someone such as, let's just say hypothetically speaking, let's say if Nswish was outed as a hacker these days, that would be massive. But it just doesn't happen anymore. Those kind of hacking scandals just do not happen anymore. Is it because hacking is much easier to hide now? Maybe. I don't know anything about hacking. I have no clue. I genuinely do not know how people do the whole hacking thing. I don't understand how they make it look realistic, but that's just me. But it's just such scaled dramas, I feel like, do not happen to the same extent these days. The people who are going to be in the comment section like, oh, but this thing and that thing, let's say, I'm not going to mention any specific situations. As I mentioned, I do not want to reinvigorate anything, but people are going to mention specific dramas that have happened recently in the GD community, and I'm going to be like, yeah, but not everyone knows that. Every single time I see a post about said dramas on either if it's the GD subreddit, which I occasionally scroll, or Twitter, there's always a couple comments that's like, wait, what did they do? Or I've never heard about this before. Even though it is month-long dramas that have taken a lot of time for a lot of people to handle. And I feel like that's always going to be the case with GD now. There's not going to be like any massive scale dramas unless something huge happens with some of the biggest figures in the community. And I feel like that is an important thing to discuss and bring up, is that drama, I find, was way bigger back then because of the size of the community and how much it hit. Like, if there was a big drama in the GD community back in 1.9, it would gut punch the entire community. Now, if a decently big drama happens in the GD community, it's just a one and done. They're not allowed back in. But people are just gonna move on. People still discuss whether or not Cyclic actually hacked. I see under basically every single video that brings up Riot and Cyclic, some people are gonna be like, oh, but Cyclic didn't actually hack. People are still up in arms about this discussion, and that's how massive it was. I feel like that's an important thing to do and talk about. Next up, I want to do content. More specifically, YouTube content and streams. Replays, commentary, documentaries. Replays, there were no showcases back in the day. If you wanted to showcase a level, you had to beat it. Or maybe not beat it, but you had to do it in runs. Showcases were horrible. Now we have botting and all that stuff, which is cool. replays were barely a thing, and the few people that actively did replays or showcases of levels that they didn't make themselves were all legitimate completions, so they came out very infrequently. Commentary YouTube videos, such as myself, Durami, EVW do, and Apesta and Juniper and all that stuff, it was all just big YouTubers, a lot of Spanish YouTubers, and hell, even Guitar only uploaded replays by that point. You had PewDiePie who uploaded videos, Markiplier probably uploaded a video or two. That was the commentary content that we had. And as for documentaries, I'm pretty sure they didn't exist. There was no such thing as a documentary YouTube channel back in 1.9. That came in like 2.0, maybe early 2.1. It just didn't exist. And streaming content was basically non-existent. It was just the game, the chat, and the streamer just didn't talk. There was no actual content streaming. They just like did their thing. Nowadays, I feel like this has evolved. I feel like that's just the nature of early game community stuff. Like, with time, that stuff will evolve into what it is now, and it will continue to evolve, and I think that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a negative with the community back in the day, but I feel like if people are like, oh, I want to go back to 1.9. Yeah, but you would be on your own. That's how I feel about it. The reason why I don't want to go back to 1.9 is because you would be entirely on your own. There is no content. And the last topic I wanted to discuss, was also barely any community. The community you had was like locked Skype chats that you had to be invited to. And if you couldn't get invited to somewhere, where would you go? There was no Discord. 1.9 was in 2014 until 15. Discord didn't exist. You had no Discord. And the Discord community is massive. The Geometry Dash server has like 115,000 members or some crazy stuff. It's wild. It's just, the community is so much more connected now. Every single content creator practically has their own Discord server. There's a lot of potential for Geometry Dash players to just socialize in that sense. It's not always the best. There is a lot of like disagreements, and I feel like there's a lot of radical opinions within the GD community that I personally do not agree with, but that's besides the point. That's again another discussion for another day. There's always somewhere to go. I'm in the Discord partner server because I'm a Discord partner, and there is an absurd amount of Geometry Dash related Discord partners in that server. There's a ton of them. Geometry Dash is one of the more prevalent communities within Discord because our servers are massive. And I mean massive. There are very few content creators, such as myself, for instance, with under 100,000 subscribers, who has 6,000 members in their Discord server. That's almost a 10% conversion rate from YouTube to Discord. That is absurd. That is unheard of almost. Geometry Dash is a massive community with a very strong connection. Yes, I feel like I'm making it sound like 1.9 was like this objectively bad point of view. I just want to compare the two in a way that make people try and look away from Geometry Dash 1.9 as this like objectively amazing thing. I try to compare them from what it was to what it is now and put them up scale because I've been playing through both of them and I do not have that nostalgic look over 1.9 as I previously mentioned. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. Please keep it civil. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys around. Eat your greens. Stay healthy. Stay hydrated. Thank you for making my day better. Hope it made yours a little bit better too. Goodbye, everyone.